I became a billionaire real estate mogul after they threw me out. Now my cousin, ex-fiancé, and parents are furious I bought their mortgages and started foreclosure proceedings on Christmas. Welcome, family. Please subscribe if you enjoy stories like this. Say hello in the comments and tell us your city or country. With that, let's continue our story. I stood on my parents' porch Christmas morning, engagement rings still on my finger, holding the apple pie I'd baked at 5 a.m. Through the window, I could see my family gathered around the tree. My younger cousin Destiny was wearing my grandmother's pearls, the ones Mom promised me. That should have been my first warning. "Janelle, you're late," Mom said, barely opening the door. The cold air hit my face, but nothing compared to the ice in her voice. Inside, my fiancé Adrian sat on the couch, his arm around Destiny. His arm around my cousin. "Adrian." My voice cracked. The pie slipped from my hands, shattering across the hardwood I'd helped refinish last summer. "Don't make a scene," Dad said, not looking up from his newspaper. "We need to talk about your choices." My choices? I'd spent 3 years helping them save their house. I'd given them $47,000 from my modest real estate assistant salary. I'd canceled my own wedding venue deposit to pay Mom's medical bills. "Destiny and Adrian are in love," Mom announced. "We support them. You've always been selfish, Janelle. Always thinking you're better than us." The room spun. Destiny wouldn't meet my eyes. Adrian finally spoke. "You were always working." She was there. "Get out," Dad said. "And don't come back until you can be happy for your cousin." I looked at each of them. Dad. My brother Jerome smirking in the corner. Destiny crying fake tears. "I gave you everything," I whispered. "You gave us nothing," Mom spat. "You just threw money around to make yourself feel important. Now leave. This is a family gathering." I left. I didn't know then that I'd never return as their daughter, only as their landlord. I slept in my 2008 Honda Civic that night, parked behind a closed convenience store. The temperature dropped to 23 degrees. I could see my breath, watch it fog the windows as I cried into my coat. Everything I owned fit in 2 suitcases. Everything I'd built, my relationships, my family, my future, had evaporated in 10 minutes. My phone buzzed. "Adrian, you're being dramatic. We can all be adults about this." I blocked him. Then Destiny, "I never meant to hurt you, but we can't help who we love. I hope you understand." I blocked her too. Mom's message came at 3 a.m. "Don't tell anyone about this. You'll embarrass the family." That's when something inside me cracked. Not broke, but transformed. Like coal under pressure becoming diamond. I drove to my office at dawn. My boss, Mrs. Lawson, found me in the bathroom washing my face with hand soap. "Janelle? What happened?" I told her everything. She listened without interrupting, her eyes growing harder with each word. "How much do you know about real estate investment?" she asked. "Everything. I've studied every property we've sold, every deal you've made. I know this market like my own heartbeat." Mrs. Lawson pulled out her phone. "My brother David owns an investment firm in the city. He's looking for someone with local market knowledge. Someone hungry." "I'm starving," I said. "Good. Because you're about to learn how the rich really play this game." "But Janelle." She gripped my shoulder. "This is going to change you. You ready for that?" I thought about Mom's face when she called me selfish. About Adrian's arm around Destiny. About sleeping in my car. "I'm already changed," I said. That phone call would turn me into something they never saw coming. David Lawson didn't look like a millionaire. He wore jeans to our first meeting and drove a 15-year-old truck. "Rich people don't need to look rich," he said. "We need to look smart." He spread property records across his desk. "Your family's house. Your ex's condo. Your cousin's townhouse. You researched them all." I'd spent 72 hours digging through public records, finding things that made my stomach turn. Dad remortgaged 3 times. Mom took out a home equity line for a boat they sold at a loss. Adrian owes $340,000 on a property worth $290,000. Destiny's behind 4 months on her HOA fees. "They're drowning," David said. "And you want revenge?" "I want justice." He smiled. "Better answer. Revenge is emotional. Justice is calculated. Here's what I'm offering. I'll teach you everything. Market analysis, property valuation, negotiation, portfolio management. You'll work 100-hour weeks. You'll learn faster than you've ever learned anything. What's the catch? You stay clean. No illegal moves. No harassment. Everything by the book because the system already favors people who understand it. And you keep your humanity. Don't become the monster that created you. I thought about that. What if I'm already a monster? Then you're my kind of monster. The kind that eats other monsters. I moved into a studio apartment that night. One room, a hot plate, a mattress on the floor. On the wall, I tacked up photos. Mom, Dad, Adrian, Destiny, Jerome. My brother had texted, "Drama queen. We're better off without you." Under each photo, I wrote their mortgage balance. This wasn't revenge. This was education. And I was about to become valedictorian. 18 months disappeared into spreadsheets and site visits. I learned to see properties like David did, not as homes but as numbers with potential. A distressed 4-unit building became my first investment. $180,000 all borrowed. I renovated it myself, learning plumbing at night school, watching YouTube videos on electrical work. "You don't have to do this," David said, finding me replacing drywall at 2 a.m. "Yes, I do. I need to understand every inch of value I'm creating." I rented those units for triple what the previous owner had charged. 6 months later, I sold the building for $340,000. My cut after paying David back: $127,000. My hands were calloused. My back ached. I'd never felt more alive. Adrian called from a restricted number. I answered without thinking. "Janelle, look. Destiny and I are getting married. Mom said you should contribute to the wedding since you're doing well." I laughed. Actually laughed. "How would she know how I'm doing?" "Jerome saw you. Said you're buying properties now." My brother. Watching me. Reporting back like I was enemy territory. "Tell Mom I said no." "You're really going to be petty? After everything Everything you what, Adrian? Everything you did for me." My voice could have cut glass. "I'm busy. Lose this number." I hung up and immediately called my lawyer. "I want to set up an LLC. Something anonymous. Can we do that?" "For what purpose?" "I'm going hunting." That week I bought my second property, then my third. Each one taught me something new. By month 24, I'd cleared my first million in net worth. I didn't celebrate. I just added more photos to my wall. More mortgage balances. More research. The game was just beginning. Year 3 was when everything accelerated. I'd developed a system. Identify over-leveraged properties, approach lenders privately, buy distressed mortgages at discount. It was perfectly legal. Cold maybe, but legal. David warned me, "You're getting a reputation. The mortgage collector. People are nervous." Good. I wasn't the sweet Janelle anymore. I wore sharp suits now, learned to make my face unreadable in negotiations. A property investor named Gloria took me to lunch. She was 50-something, elegant, terrifying. "I know what you're doing," she said. "Targeting your old neighborhood. That's personal. It's business." Bullshit. It's both. "Let me tell you something, sister. I did the same thing 20 years ago. Different family, same betrayal." She leaned closer. "The victory you're chasing? Tastes like ash. But you won't believe me until you taste it yourself." I thought about her words driving home. Then I saw it, Dad's house. The for sale sign. My heart stopped. They were selling. Running before I could reach them. I made a call. "I want that property. Whatever it takes." "Janelle," David's voice was careful. "You sure? They don't get to run. They wanted me gone? Fine. But they don't get to escape consequences." I bought Dad's mortgage from the bank for 73 cents on the dollar. They owed $340,000. I'd paid $248,000 for the right to collect. My lawyer delivered the notice personally. I insisted on a photo. Dad's face when he realized who owned his debt? That should have felt good. Instead, I felt hollow. But I'd come too far to stop now. By year 4, I owned 37 properties and held mortgages on 12 more. My net worth, $8.3 million. I'd learned to play the game better than the people who invented it. But success came with a cost I hadn't anticipated. I couldn't sleep. Every night, I'd wake at 3 a.m. checking property values, analyzing markets, planning my next move. My studio apartment had become a war room. Papers everywhere, cold coffee cups, the faces on my wall staring down at me. You look like hell, David said during our quarterly review. When's the last time you took a day off? Can't remember. That's a problem. No, David. The problem was sleeping in my car 4 years ago. This. I gestured at the financial reports showing my empire. This is the solution. But he was right. I'd lost weight. My hair was thinning from stress. I had no friends, no relationships, no life beyond acquiring and managing properties. Then Jerome showed up at my office. My baby brother. He'd gained weight, looked tired. Janelle. We need to talk. How did you find me? I hired a private investigator. Took him 3 days. He sat without invitation. You bought Dad's mortgage. You're destroying our family. I'm destroying the family? The laugh that came out of me was sharp. Where were you when they threw me out? When Adrian humiliated me? When Mom called me selfish for giving her $47,000? I was young. I didn't understand. You were 24, Jerome. Not young. Complicit. His face crumpled. They're losing everything. Mom cries every night. Dad had a stroke last month. The stress. My heart seized. Dad had a stroke? How bad? Bad enough. Partial paralysis. Can't work. Jerome's eyes were pleading. Please. Whatever you're doing, stop. They're sorry. Sorry. The word tasted bitter. They're sorry because they're losing. Not because they were wrong. What do you want? Blood. I looked at my brother. Really looked at him. He'd aged too. We all had. I want what they took from me, I said softly. Everything. Jerome left without another word. That night I bought Adrian's mortgage too. Adrian appeared at my gym at 6 a.m. I was on the treadmill when I saw him in the mirror. He'd aged poorly, thinner hair, softer middle, eyes that wouldn't meet mine. You can't avoid me forever, he said. I kept running. Watch me. I bought your mortgage, Janelle. I know. The bank called yesterday. He stepped in front of my treadmill. You're really doing this? Destroying my life over a relationship that wasn't working? I hit the stop button. Stepped off. Got in his face. A relationship that wasn't working? Adrian, you proposed to me. I said yes. 3 months later, you were sleeping with my cousin in my parents' house. During Christmas. We fell in love. It happens. Then you should have broken up with me first like a decent human being. Instead, you let my entire family humiliate me. You sat there while my father threw me out. His jaw tightened. So what? You became rich to get revenge. That's psychotic. No, Adrian. I became rich because I had to survive. The revenge. I smiled and it wasn't kind. That's just a bonus. And I'm really good at it. Destiny's pregnant. He said it like a bomb. Like it would change everything. Did change something. Made it worse. Congratulations, I said. Hope you can afford diapers after I finish with you. You're a monster. You created me. He tried to grab my arm. My trainer, a former Marine named James, materialized from nowhere. Problem here. Adrian backed up, hands raised. This isn't over. Yes, I said. It really is. I watched him leave, then collapsed on a bench. My hands were shaking. James sat beside me, said nothing, just present. Am I a monster? I whispered. Does it matter? He asked. Monsters are honest about what they are. Humans lie and call it love. I went home and added Destiny's mortgage to my collection. She was 5 months behind. Easy prey. Mom called from a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. Janelle Marie Washington, you need to stop this madness right now. No hello. No apology. Just demands. Why would I do that? Because I'm your mother. Because family doesn't do this to family. The hypocrisy almost made me laugh. Family didn't throw me out on Christmas. Family didn't steal my fiancé. Family didn't call me selfish after I drained my savings for you. We made mistakes. No, Mom. Leaving the milk out is a mistake. What you did was calculated cruelty. And I'm returning it with interest. He was crying now. Your father is sick. The stroke affected his speech. He wants to apologize. Something in my chest cracked. Put him on. Silence. Then Dad's voice, slurred and slow. Jan, baby girl, I'm sorry. Those words. I'd waited 4 years for those words. They should have healed something. Instead, they made it hurt worse. Dad, I said, and my voice broke. Why? Why did you choose her over me? Needed it. Is so strong. And there was the truth that shattered me. I was punished for being strong, for not needing them enough. I needed you too, I whispered. I needed my father. Come home. That's not my home anymore. You made sure of that. I hung up, sat on my expensive couch in my expensive apartment surrounded by evidence of my success. And I felt more alone than the night I slept in my car. David found me there hours later. The family called. They want a meeting. All of them. You, me, lawyers. They're proposing a deal. What kind of deal? They want to restructure the mortgages. Work out payment plans. They're begging Janelle. I looked at the photos on my wall. At the faces of people who destroyed me. Tell them I'll meet them, I said. Christmas Day. David's eyes widened. That's cruel. No, I said. That's poetry. 3 days before Christmas, Destiny showed up at my office. 7 months pregnant, wearing a coat that didn't quite close over her belly. My assistant tried to stop her, but I waved her in. You look successful, Destiny said, looking around my corner office with its city views. You look pregnant. She flinched. I deserve that. I deserve worse. Yes, you do. Janelle, I'm here to beg. Not for me. For my baby. She sat without asking, hands on her stomach. Adrian lost his job. We're behind on everything. The baby's due in 6 weeks. I'm terrified. I should have felt satisfaction. Dad, I felt tired. Why Adrian? I asked the question that had haunted me. Of all people, why him? Destiny's eyes filled. Because he paid attention to me. Because in your family you were always the smart one, the successful one. I was just there. And Adrian made me feel special. So you stole my life because you felt invisible? I didn't think of it as stealing. I thought. She wiped her eyes. I thought you'd be fine. You're always fine. There was again. Punished for being strong. I wasn't fine, Destiny. I slept in my car. I cried until I couldn't breathe. I wanted to die. Her face went white. I didn't know. Because you didn't ask. None of you asked. You just took what you wanted and expected me to disappear quietly. What do you want from us? I leaned back. What I wanted was an apology 4 years ago. What I wanted was my family to choose me just once. What I wanted was to matter. You matter now. You're all anyone talks about. Because I have money. Not because I have value. Destiny stood, awkward with pregnancy. The meeting. Christmas Day. Are you really going to foreclose on Christmas? Depends. On what? I met her eyes. On whether anyone tells me the truth about that day. The real truth. Not the pretty version. She went pale. What do you mean? I mean, I know there's more to this story. And until someone's honest, we've got nothing to discuss. After she left, I sat in the darkness, my city glowing below. Gloria called as if she sensed my wavering. Don't go soft now, she said. What if I'm becoming what they said I was? Then make sure it's worth it. Jerome showed up at my apartment Christmas Eve with a bottle of wine and a haunted expression. I need to tell you something, he said. And you're going to hate me more. I let him in. We sat on opposite ends of my couch, the wine between us like a barrier. That Christmas, he started, voice shaking. When they kicked you out, it wasn't spontaneous. My blood went cold. What? Mom and Dad planned it. For weeks. Adrian came to them 2 months before, told them he'd fallen for Destiny. They arranged everything. The room tilted. No. They wanted you gone, Janelle. You'd gotten too big for your britches, Mom said. You'd started talking about moving to the city, buying your own place. They needed your money, but they hated that you were growing beyond them. I couldn't breathe. They set me up? The Christmas gathering was a trap. They knew you'd break down, give them a reason to cut you off. Then they could keep your money, take the moral high ground, and absorb Adrian's income when you were gone. Jerome was crying now. I knew, and I said nothing because I was scared they'd turn on me too. You watched them destroy me. I'm a coward. I've always been a coward. He pulled out his phone, showed me texts. Mom to Jerome, she's getting too independent. We need to remind her who her family is. Dad to Jerome. Operation Christmas is a go. Stay out of it. Operation Christmas. They'd named it. Planned my destruction like a military campaign. Something inside me that had held on, that had hoped for redemption, died. Why are you telling me this now? Because tomorrow you're going to destroy them. And you deserve to know they earned it. Every bit of it. He stood. I'm leaving. Moving across the country. I can't watch what happens next, but I can't stop you either. You were always the strong one, Janelle. Even when we punished you for it. After he left, I sat with the evidence. The texts. The proof of their betrayal. It was worse than I'd imagined. I called David. Tomorrow. I want everything ready. Every document. Every option. No mercy. You sure? I looked at the texts again. Operation Christmas. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. They sat in my conference room like defendants at trial. Dad in his wheelchair. Destiny. Even some aunts and uncles who'd sided with them. My lawyer on one side. David on the other. Me at the head of the table. Thank you for coming, I said, voice cold and professional. Cut the corporate bullshit, Mom snapped. What do you want? I slid folders across the table. Inside you'll find the mortgages I own on your properties. The amounts due. The default notices. And the foreclosure timelines. Dad made a sound, half sob, half groan. Please. Baby girl. Don't call me that. You lost that right when you planned Operation Christmas. The room went silent. Mom's face drained of color. Jerome told me everything. The texts. The planning. How you deliberately destroyed me because I was becoming independent. I stood, placed my hands on the table. You didn't kick me out in anger. You executed a strategy to break me down and keep me controllable. That's not, Mom started. Don't lie. I have the texts. All of them. I opened my laptop, projected them on the screen. Their own words, their own conspiracy blown up for everyone to see. An aunt gasped. Clara, you didn't. She did, I said. They all did. And now they're here because they're losing. Not because they're sorry. Because they're losing. Adrian slammed his hand on the table. So what? You win? You get to play God? Destroy a pregnant woman and a stroke victim for revenge. No, Adrian. I get to give them exactly what they gave me. Abandonment when they need help most. The difference is they deserve it. Destiny was sobbing. Please. The baby. Think of the baby. I am thinking of the baby. I'm thinking that child deserves better than parents who destroy people for sport. What do you want? Dad asked, each word a struggle. Money? Apology? What? I looked at each of them. At the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. I want you to feel what I felt. Every cold night. Every moment of doubt. Every second I wondered if I was worth loving. I paused. But mostly, I want you to understand that actions have consequences. And yours finally caught up. So that's it. Mom said bitterly. You're foreclosing? On Christmas. I gathered my documents. No. I'm giving you a choice. I let the silence stretch, watching them squirm. Here's your choice, I continued. Option 1. I proceed with foreclosure. You lose everything. I buy the properties at auction for pennies on the dollar. You're homeless by Valentine's Day. Destiny made a choking sound. Adrian looked like he might vomit. Option 2. You sign over the deeds. Willingly. Today. You become my tenants. I set fair market rent. Which, let's be honest, is more than you're paying now. You keep your homes, but you acknowledge I own them. That's extortion, Adrian hissed. No, that's mercy. Extortion would be illegal. This is just business. I turned to Dad. You taught me that. Business is business, you always said. Remember? When you refused to help me with college because everyone makes their own way? I was wrong, Dad managed. Yes, you were. About so many things. I looked at Mom. Option 3. You public apologize. Not to me privately. Publicly. On social media. A full, detailed apology admitting what you did. Then we restructure the loans with interest rates that'll keep you paying for 20 years, but you keep ownership. You want to humiliate us, Mom said. No, Mom. I want accountability. I want the world to know who you really are. You wanted me gone? Fine. But you don't get to rewrite history and play the victim. An uncle spoke up, a man I barely knew. Clara, maybe you should listen to her. Shut up, Dennis, Mom snapped. Then to me, you've become everything I was afraid you'd become. Cold, calculating, heartless. I laughed, and it echoed in the quiet room. You were afraid I'd become successful? Independent? Powerful? Yeah, I did. And you hate it because it proves you were wrong about me. You were supposed to need us, Mom whispered. And there was the core truth. They didn't want a daughter. They wanted a dependent. I did need you, I said, my voice breaking despite myself. I needed you to love me without conditions. To support me without expecting payback. To be proud of me without feeling threatened. Tears streamed down my face now. But you couldn't do that. And now here we are. So what's it going to be? David asked. We need an answer today. They huddled, whispering urgently. I watched them with a strange detachment, like observing strangers. Finally, Dad spoke. The deeds. Well, sign over. The deeds. Mom looked devastated. Adrian furious. Destiny just relieved. Smart choice, I said, pushing the documents forward. One by one they signed their homes away to me. When it was done I stood. Merry Christmas. Rent's due on the 1st. I walked out of that conference room and didn't look back. But Gloria's words echoed. The victory you're chasing? It tastes like ash. He was right. 6 months later I stood in my penthouse overlooking the city. 30 floors up. $2 million of real estate. Everything I'd ever dreamed of having. I was worth $47 million now. A nice symmetry to the $47,000 they stole from me. Each dollar earned through ruthless calculation, perfect execution, and the complete destruction of my family. They paid rent on time. Every month. My property manager handled it so I never had to see them. Dad passed away 4 months after that Christmas meeting. His heart gave out. Mom called from a restricted number to tell me about the funeral. I didn't go. What was left to mourn? The father who loved me died years earlier on a different Christmas. Adrian and Destiny had their baby. A girl. I heard she's beautiful. They named her Joy, which felt like a cosmic joke. Jerome sent one text from Seattle. Dad's last words were your name. I blocked him too. The media loved my story. Rags to riches real estate mogul, they called me. Forbes did a profile. I gave interviews about determination, resilience, overcoming adversity. I never mentioned my family. Let them rot in obscurity. Gloria met me for lunch last Tuesday. She looked at me across the table, understanding in her eyes. You did it. You won. How does it feel? I thought about that question. Really thought about it. Empty, I finally said. I have everything I ever wanted and nothing that matters. Yeah, she said softly. That's the price. You want to know the really cruel part? You do it all again. Because the alternative, letting them win, is worse than this emptiness. He was right. God help me, she was right. Last night I dreamed about that Christmas 4 years ago. But in the dream I walked into my parents' house and they hugged me. Adrian wasn't there. Destiny wasn't wearing grandma's pearls. Dad called me baby girl with love instead of manipulation. And I was just Janelle. Not the mortgage collector. Not a billionaire. Just their daughter. I woke up crying. This morning I got a letter. Mom's handwriting. Inside, you were right about everything. We destroyed something precious because we were small people who couldn't stand to see you grow. I'm sorry. I know it's too late. I know sorry doesn't fix anything. But you deserved to hear it. And you deserved better parents. I hope someday you find peace, baby girl. Because I don't think we ever will. I held that letter for hours. Read it again and again. Looking for the manipulation, the angle, the trap. But there was none. Just the truth finally when it no longer mattered. I'm sitting here now in my empty penthouse, surrounded by everything I fought for. My empire. My revenge. My victory. And I'd give it all back. Every dollar, every property, every moment of satisfaction. For one Christmas morning where my family chose me. Just once. Before everything broke. But that's not how life works. We don't get do-overs. We only get consequences. And I'm learning to live with mine. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and share your own stories of family betrayal and healing in the comments. Sometimes the hardest battles we fight are with the people who are supposed to love us most. You're not alone. And remember, Building an empire can't fill the hole where family should be, but sometimes survival requires building walls instead of bridges. Choose your battles, but more importantly, choose yourself.